Hello and welcome to Only in Illinois. I'm Madeline Dubeck here with Matt Dietrich. And Matt, when you took this job, did you ever think you'd be talking about Syria?
No, I did not see an international aspect of this job, and I didn't know that states set immigration policy, but apparently I was wrong, judging on the announcement that came from Springfield on Monday, which was Governor Bruce Rauner declaring that Illinois was going to temporarily suspend accepting any refugees from Syria.
And so obviously this is a result of the terrorist attacks in Paris. And I'm sure Bruce Rauner never imagined he'd be talking about Syria so much when he won election as governor of the state of Illinois. So what exactly can a governor do and not do?
Well,
how does this all work, and how's it playing out politically?
Rauner was not alone in this. He was among what I believe is now 30 governors who said that we're going to stop accepting Syrian refugees in our states. But the problem is governors don't set immigration policy. That the 1980 Refugee Act, the U.S. Refugee Act, established that this is the president's job. And the federal government has jurisdiction on immigration and refugee matters. Now, the governors don't have the authority to keep people out. We don't have border guards around Illinois. But what they do have authority over are the various programs that when someone is declared a refugee and is granted asylum in the United States and they come to live in whatever state they go to live in, it's generally the responsibility of that state to administer the programs that help those refugees get settled. And this is housing, it's health care, it's language training. There is a state agency, the Refugee Program, that's in the Illinois Department of Human Services, that is there specifically to help refugees acclimate and get settled in their new lives. So what the governors can do, and I suppose what Governor Bruce Rauner could do, is they oversee the administration of these state grants and the state programs that generally pay non-for-profits that work with the refugees. So what the governors do have authority over is setting the parameters for how you're eligible for receiving that aid through the programs. They can, I assume, affect how quickly those services are delivered, how efficiently they're delivered.
I'm sure lots of people are thinking whether the governor might just simply cut off funding for these programs.
Well, that too, and I tried.
Since he's done it with other things.
Well, and I called the governor's office directly to find out the details of, how are you going to do this? What are your plans? How much of our state money in the refugee program, how much is going specifically to Syrians? And what I got in response was an updated statement from the Rauner administration reiterating that for security reasons, we think that the government needs to look at the vetting process for these refugees. And really the problem is, how are you going to separate out Syrian refugees from, we get refugees from many, many other countries.
Right.
And it doesn't seem like you'd be able to say, we're going to deny you these services because you're Syrian. That's discrimination.
And tomorrow it might be some other country.
Yeah. So really what happened this week was symbolic. And I think a lot of the other governors, well, with all the other governors, I think it was an act of symbolism, much like when city councils pass resolutions saying...
Which also happened this week in Chicago.
Right, and in response, of course, to Governor Rauner, the Chicago City Council passed a resolution reaffirming that it is friendly to refugees from Syria and reaffirming that it is a sanctuary city for immigrants. Again, it's a lot of noise. It looks good. It looks good politically, but as a policy matter, it's not going to stop anything.
We haven't seen any tangible political, or excuse me, not political, but practical
Right.
effects from any of this.
And in fact, on Wednesday, 48 hours after Governor Rauner issued his statement that we're going to suspend accepting refugees, Chicago Sun-Times reports that a family of 5 from Syria, who had been in the process of going through the refugee immigration process for better than a year, resettled in Chicago on Wednesday, 48 hours later. So clearly it's not, it sounds official and it sounds great and everything, but doesn't have any effect on the ground.
And you mentioned the vetting process and that this family had been through it for at least a year. I don't think most of us realized how
Right.
long that process is. It's at least a year, sometimes even longer.
Yeah, they say 18 to 24 months, and it goes through the U.S. State Department, then the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, and then the FBI. And it's a very long process going from, in this case, Syria over to the United States. And keep in mind, we've got, 169 Syrian refugees in Illinois now that have been coming in for about 4 years. This is one of those difficult moments where everybody feels like, I gotta do something. What can I do? This is what we end up with.
All right. Well, that's it for this week's edition. Stay tuned to the next edition of Only in Illinois.